Your business exists because you had the idea to start it. Everything begins in our minds. That's why your business results cannot outgrow your current level of thinking. Do you want to serve more clients, make more money, without working more or burning yourself out? Grow yourself first as a leader of your business, because that's who you are, a leader, even if you're the only person in your business right now. When you lead yourself first, the business results will always follow. My name is Maggie. I'm an international business and leadership coach, an expert in business mindset, strategy, and high performance. I created the Diamond Effect podcast to help you elevate your thinking, expand your perspective, and through it, grow your business without overwhelm. So let's get started. Hello, dear Diamond Effect podcast listeners. Welcome to episode 223. So yesterday I was running an event, Ask the Expert, Ask Me Anything, with collaboration of a local organization that supports entrepreneurs. And we were doing sales and I was the expert. And people who came, even though they're local, I didn't know them. And yet one of the participants of that event told me when I was introduced and people who were introducing me mentioned my podcast, Diamond Effect, one of the participants said, "Oh yeah, I heard about it." So then that makes me realize that my podcast is being talked about or mentioned in the rooms I'm not in. And that maybe more and more of you are listening, but yet you might not know who Maggie is. Because yes, I talk about myself a little bit in the episodes, and maybe in the past I've done an episode about me, but that doesn't come to me naturally. So I'm rather introverted and I love to teach. I love to share what I know and the value and kind of help business owners thrive. But I sometimes forget that you might want to know who am I. You might want to know who is behind that microphone as a person. You might want to know more about me. So as I met lately a lot of new people and they subscribed for the podcast, and maybe you found this podcast random and you've never met me in person. I thought, why not make an episode more fun, more relaxed, just talking about me. And because it's the episode 223 and number 23 is in it, which is special for me, I'll explain it later. I thought, okay, let's do it in this podcast. So yes, today I'm going to talk about 10 fun facts about me, but also 10 values and beliefs that are very important to me personally and in my business. Now, this is not an exclusive list of beliefs or values that I live by, just like you. It's probably way more than that, right? As human beings, we're way more complex. But it will be a good start. And at the end, I will quickly share about how I became a coach and why I do what I do for those of you who don't know that story. Okay, so let's get started. 10 fun facts about me. Number 1. I speak fluently 3 languages. So my mother tongue is Polish. I'm originally Polish. My first language by now, it's actually English. I already think in English. It's easier for me to talk in English. So that's my first language. And I also speak fluently French. Now, when I speak these 3 languages, I have accent by now in all 3 of them, including my mother tongue. And that's funny because I started learning English and French as a child, so I don't have a heavy Polish accent in it, and my French comes from Europe. So, for example, when I speak French in Canada, people think I am French from France. I'm Parisian French. Right? But when I go to France and speak French, then people think I'm Canadian. And I have Canadian accent, so that's funny. Also, I used to learn a bit of German and Russian. So Russian, I had to learn it in primary school because at that time Poland was under communist regime. I can't say I can hold a conversation in those languages. I just understand little things. Number two, my favorite color is green. I love nature. I love all the shades of green that nature creates, but green is my favorite. It has such a calming effect on me. I just love that color. Number three, favorite music. I actually don't have favorite genre in music. I was never a big fan or just one band. For example, my husband loves Pearl Jam. That's his favorite band ever. Me, I don't like diverse music. If you look at my playlist, I have classical music in there. I have pop, rock, R&B, and hip hop. I even have Disney songs and some from movies that I watched with my kids and I really loved. So what I love about music is the emotion that it can create in me or bring out it with me. I definitely love melodic songs or melodic pieces. So when there's a melody, not just beat. But yeah, I love all kinds of genres of music. Now, my favorite artist right now is my husband, so I have to say, but outside of it, I love many other artists. Fun fact number 4 is I used to dance in the Polish folk dance group, and I danced for 6 years. So from the end of my primary school throughout high school and then the year after. Now, I wasn't a great dancer, but we danced in a group. We had a very good kind of company where we were all friends. And through that dance group, we traveled. We went to England and Italy and throughout Poland. We did festivals, not so much competitions, but more festivals. It was so much fun. I love to dance. I love to go out and dance, even though I don't do it as much. Dance brings me joy. It's a way for me to express myself and be creative, and I love it, even though my daughter's way better at dance at her stage than I ever was. Another one, not sure if it's a fun fact, but as I'm going into my second part of my 40s, I realized I started perimenopause, which has its fun and not so fun consequences. I'm not going to talk about it a lot because I know that all my listeners are different genders, different ages. Who cares about perimenopause? But if you're a woman who is listening to it and it's going through it or menopause and you ever want to chat and have some laughs about it, I'm in. Just let me know. But also, I actually want to recommend a great TikToker. So if you're into perimenopause, want to have some love, I've recently started following her. Her handle is just being Melanie, and she's like a founder of We Do Not Care Club. If you want to have fun and just laugh, follow her on TikTok. I'm not sure if she's on Instagram. I always have great laughs. Fun fact number 6, I love good food. Overall, I love to travel, so I love the cuisine of the world. I actually don't have, just like with music, one favorite dish. I love Italian cuisine and Indian cuisine and Caribbean cuisine and French cuisine. There's Polish cuisine, Mexican. Every country has something, and I just love to try. And I love to travel and try different foods. With that, I do love to cook when I have time, not during the week, but for holidays and during the weekend. It actually is meditative for me, and I get to create my own recipes, my own dishes. I love to do it. I'm pretty good at it. My family doesn't complain about my cooking. Fun fact number 7. I can seem quite intimidating in the beginning, like the first impression when you meet me. When I'm passionate about it and I talk about it, I get so much into it that I don't think about how I look or how I protect my passion. And also because I'm tall, I'm 5'8", I think, in the feet, 174 centimeters. So when people see me the first time, I can see sometimes from their look like they get intimidated. But I promise you, I'm not that scary. I'm just passionate and tall. You don't choose that. So it is what it is. I like to be active, but I hate going to the gym. So I like to be active because I do value my health and I want to be healthy for me, for my business, for my kids, my family. Feeling good is the most important. I'm always grateful for my health, but I also take care of my health and and proactive as much as I can. So I like to walk and hike, and I used to ski. Don't like it so much. Too cold enough for me as I age. But swimming, biking, all those things. But gym, I always hated it. Like I tried so many times, but going to the gym, doing stuff, hate it. Now lately, because of my aging and perimenopause, I started doing a bit of strength exercises. But thank God to my husband, we have a mini gym in the basement put together for himself, and he took on the pain of getting me started of personal training and doing a bit of strength exercises. So by now I'm okay with it. I don't hate it anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't go to public gym and exercise. Don't like it. Strange, but I guess that's a fun fact about me. Okay, number 9. My favorite sport is actually basketball. So before dance in primary school, I played basketball. I was in the class that was sports focused, and we played basketball. We even won once championships in our region or our state, if you want to call it, in Poland. So I wasn't one of the best. I was okay, but I really enjoyed it. Loved NBA at that time as well. So huge fan of basketball, even though I don't follow it currently as much. Still love the game. Okay, so the last one is the number 23. So actually my birthday is on November 23rd. I was born on the 23rd of 11 month. And for my husband, this is a very special number. Maybe one of the reasons is that Michael Jordan had the jersey in number 23, and he's a big NBA fan as well. I love Michael Jordan, but to tell you the truth, I had no idea that his jersey number was 23 until my husband told me. But I think when we met and he found out that my birthday was on the 23rd, it helped me. So not going to complain about that number. Looks like it's a special number and things happen for a reason. So there we go. On to more serious, if you want to call it this way, stuff. And let's talk about my beliefs, 10 core beliefs and values that go with it that are really important to me in my personal and business life. So you might get to know me a little bit more as a coach, where my philosophy stems from and what I stand for. So let's get started. Number 1 is respect. Respect for the other human being. I truly believe that as human beings, we're all equal. We're born babies onto this earth, whether you believe in God or Mother Nature, they bring us here all equal. And for that, every human being deserves respect from another human being. And I really believe it's our human right to be respected. I'm very passionate about it. I drill it into my kids, and when they don't know it, I get quite mad. I don't get mad at a lot of things, but this is one of the things that I'm very passionate about, because ultimately we don't choose where we are born, when we're born, to what circumstances we're born. None of it is chosen by us. I always remember being born in communist Poland when we started traveling with my dad a little bit to the West, and I started seeing that there's different ways of living and that people could have much more, let's say, comfortable and better lives to what we had, even though we weren't bad off in comparison to Western Europe at that time. It was night and day. And I was always thinking, why can't I have that, right? I'm not that different than the other people. I'm also a human being, so why can't I create something like that for me? And not in a bad sense, like being jealous, but thinking I can create that too. But that came from my really ingrained belief that we're all equal. We all deserve the same opportunities to actually be able to create the life that we want. Okay. So now belief and value number 2 is kindness, being a bigger person. And that's not easy to do, even for me. Sometimes it requires and training yourself, especially in emotional intelligence and self-awareness, because when, say, somebody does something wrong to us or upsets us, or there's circumstances that affects us negatively, our default response usually are negative feelings, right? That's how we are wired as human beings. This is our brain protective system where we get angry or scared or whatever it is, right? We react certain way. And being able to be kind and also think through stuff and be a bigger person requires us to respond to situations, not react. And that requires building self-awareness and emotional intelligence. But it's such an important thing to do. It helps us be compassionate towards other people. It helps us try to understand where they're coming from, even if we don't agree with their acts or words that they say or their beliefs. It creates more peace and more understanding. Ultimately, it benefits us as individuals, right? With kindness and compassion, ability to let go, not hold grudges, ability to forgive, we feel better, right? Our lives are better. And then ultimately, it positively affects other humans. So that's important to me as well. Another strong belief that I have that actually transcends as well into my business and value is leadership. And I truly believe that we're all leaders. So every single human being on this earth is a leader. And why? Because it starts with us. We should lead ourselves and our lives first. And by leading, intentionally making decisions about what we want our life to be, the impact we want to make, who do we want to be, rather than just follow through like circumstances and let things happen to us. When we're intentional and we're leading our lives, we're making intentional decisions, we create our own reality. And we can all do it. As I mentioned, being born in a communist regime, I necessarily didn't like the circumstances I was in. And even after Poland came out of communist regime and was doing the best to get into being like a more westernized country, in the beginning, it was hard for Polish citizens. When I came out of the university, I spoke the three languages I speak that I mentioned before. And I was making $300 a month. And as a young professional, very ambitious and driven, having high dreams, I didn't see how I would be able to do that, making this little money. So, for example, that's why one of the key reasons why I immigrated to Canada, right? I used the program for immigrants that was there, but I came to create a better life for me. That's why I will never say anything bad about immigrants. I'm one of them. And you can't blame people for wanting a good and better life for them and their family. Now, I don't want to get into the legalities of it, and being illegal is totally different than being legal. But from the very bottom foundation of people wanting to create a better life for themselves, we all want that the same. As human beings, we're very similar. 80, 70% of what we do is similar. We want to be loved and safe, and we want to create a good life for ourselves and our loved ones. That's the bottom line. And another part of leadership is that, of course, first of all, we lead ourselves and our lives. As we grow up and go out to the world, for example, as parents, we're also leaders, right? We lead our kids, we lead our family. If you're a business owner, even if you're this single person, you lead your business. You then might become a leader of other people, whether you're a community leader or a politician or a leader in a company, does not matter. Our job as leaders is to help people we lead thrive. Remove the roadblocks from their path, help them learn and empower them to learn what they need to learn to be successful, not to control, not for them to make what we want by fear tactics and intimidation tactics. As a parent, for example, one of the things is I have my kids for them, not for me. I want them to be the best human beings they can be. I want them to reach the highest potential and not do what I think they should be doing or what I wish I did and didn't do. And it's very hard to do as a parent. Nobody's perfect, me not included, but that's my core belief and that drives, for example, my parenting. The fourth belief, because of that, is that as human beings, we all have unlimited potential. We can do, and we're so much more powerful and able and capable than we ever give ourselves credit for. And that does come from our limiting beliefs and our fears, and then the mind that sometimes inner critic that sometimes plays against us, even myself. But ultimately, whether it's my clients that I coach and so on, I know that if you want something and you have a goal that's really important to you, you are capable of achieving it, not because you know ahead how to do it or because you have certain circumstances that are easier for you to achieve it, but because you're capable of learning anything you need to learn to achieve that goal. And you're capable of figuring out anything you need to figure out. And yes, sometimes we need help. I needed help. My clients need help, but you're also capable of asking for that help, right? Of recognizing when you need it and asking for that help. So I really have that growth mindset, and that's one of my values, growth and learning, because I believe we can learn anything. Most of the things, like things that are allowing us to achieve the goals we want, to create the life of our dreams, are all learnable skills, not something that you're born with or not. I don't believe in that. I really believe you can learn anything, you can acquire anything that is necessary for you to have a life and business that you want. I believe number 5. I know we're getting serious here, but I guess. Belief number 5, I do believe that things happen for a reason. And the value I get that goes with it is trust. Trusting that the universe has your back, that God loves you and has a purpose for you. And yes, you create that road. You need to be intentional and listening to your intuition, right? To what God or universe is telling you through it and take steps towards it. But as you go through that hero's journey, and sometimes it gets hard, and sometimes you have challenges, that there is a reason for everything. And then ultimately you will be fine. But even like the choices we make in our lives, if you listen to intuition, you get guidance. And I'll give you examples from my life where I made certain choices and I had like other choices in front of me that ultimately led me to where I am. And if I went with that different choice, I wouldn't be here. There would be something else happening, right? So the first situation was when I was applying to my master's degree at university back in Poland. The program that I really wanted to apply to was a very specific and unique program that was run at that time only by 1 or 2 universities in Poland, one of the best and the oldest universities in Poland. And it was to prepare us to be civil servants of the European Union, to represent Poland in the European Union. But the way that program was structured, it had languages, so English and French. It had a bit of business, a bit of law, like commercial, economics. Sorry. The way that program prepared us was a good, whole-rounded education, which I loved about it. It had some law, some business, some humanistic subjects like sociology and philosophy and things like that, languages, and also, like, of course, European law and so on. So the first time I tried to get in, even though I passed the exams, I didn't score high enough and I didn't get in to the program because it was only like, I think, 40 spots for the entire Poland. And of course, the ratio for people who wanted to get was 8-1. And I think my lowest score was English, probably English. So then I decided to wait a year, study more, and try again. But that second year, I thought to myself, okay, I didn't have plan the first time I try. In case I don't get in, I don't want to wait another year. I need a plan B. So at the same time, when I applied to my original program, I also applied to law school. In Poland, law, you study for 5 years. It's different, right? So you go straight from high school to law school. And at that time, I passed both exams and I got into both programs. So now I had a choice to make. Either I go to law school or I go to the program that I wanted at some point. Or if you go to law school, you become a lawyer, you make good money, all those things. I did not want to do both. It was just too much of learning and commitment. But ultimately, I went with my original choice to do what I wanted to do. So I didn't go to law school. There you go, one decision. And then after graduating that program, Poland wasn't yet in the European Union. And then I found out about the immigration program in Canada. And I decided to apply with my partner at the same time to immigrate to Canada. But it was a long time. Like we waited a year and a half, I think, to get to know. So in the meantime, Poland is entering into European Union and they started doing exams for the civil servant. So I signed up for that exam, again, just in case we're going to go to Canada to potentially go to Brussels as a civil servant. And guess what? As the exam date was set and I was about to go almost, we found out that we became permanent residents. We got permanent residency in Canada and we had, I think, 6 months to leave Poland to move to Canada. I did not go to write that exam. So I chose Canada over potentially working for European Union. So all those things, all those decisions, I do believe there's some destiny in the guidance. And if we listen to it, that's where we're meant to be. Belief number 6, I think it's a 6. We'll get serious into relationship. So that might be very unorthodox as a belief, but I believe that it's better to be alone than in a relationship that's not fulfilling and the best possible. And by that, a romantic relationship. And being with somebody just to be with them or just because we don't want to be alone, but we're not fully invested in love, I think it's not fair to the other person, even though we might think that we'll hurt them if we leave, and it's not fair to us. So I'll tell you where is this belief coming from? So my parents divorced when I was 11, but before they divorced, I witnessed as a child them having fights with each other, not physical fights, but verbal fights. And I remember having so many times going into my room, closing the door, doing one of these because I didn't want the two people that I loved the most to fight with each other. And I remember the day when my dad told me that they would be divorcing. It was difficult for me and for him, but ultimately, I realized when they divorced, I felt better because I did not have to witness and get some trauma probably from my parents fighting. My dad was still present in our lives. He lived close. We could see him anytime we wanted. My parents were great in that sense where they really did figure out how to communicate after the divorce, so it's in the best interest of me and my sister. There was never a time that much where my mom would say was holding us back from seeing dad, or when dad was talking bad things about mom. That never happened. And so personally, I felt loved by both of my parents. I didn't feel guilty that it was my fault that they divorced. They took time to explain why it was happening. And what happened is we had peace and quiet at home. And from that, I have that strong belief, to agree or not, that it's truly better to be alone than in a relationship that's not really good and strong and fulfilling. And it doesn't mean that it has to be perfect all the time, that you're not that you can't fight for the relationship, work it through. But when it's not working, staying for the kids, it's not the right thing to do from my personal childhood experience. Okay, it got a bit serious. Belief number 8, and with that value, is actually fun. I do love to have fun. I do love to laugh and make people laugh. And then just joy. I think that, first of all, life is too short not to have fun, but also feeling joy and happiness is so healing for us. I do like to have fun. I like to make jokes, even during my coaching calls, and my clients know that. We work hard together. I help my clients grow businesses, and they work hard, but at the same time, you can work hard and have a lot of fun. Belief number 8, simplicity. So this is my personal belief, but I also bring it into my business. I do think that we can make our life and businesses as simple as possible, and we just as humans sometimes complicate things unnecessarily. Just because we overthink, we try to be perfect, we put too much weight on certain things, or whatever the case might be, right? So with simplicity also comes value and belief that you don't have to be perfect, right? As human beings, we're not perfect. Therefore, whatever we create will never be perfect. But what we can strive for is excellence. Doing the best we can with the resources we have, with the knowledge we have, learning, going back to learning and making things better. And then the thing is that the simpler you keep everything, the faster you can progress, especially in business, right? The more momentum you do, and it's just easier, right? We sometimes create so much more stress and weight to put on our shoulders because we overcomplicate things. Just keeping things simple makes also life easier. And maybe that's also what made me so good in operations and streamlining processes and being very efficient, because I do think always, how can I make things simpler for me? Because it's easier, life gets easier. Belief number 9, love. You can call me naive or whatever, but I truly believe in true love, in real love, and love not also like romantic love, expressing love to people that are closest to you, your parents, your friends, your children, not just telling them once in their lifetime or once a year, but hugging them. And it's so important for me. It's so important. I can't survive a day without hugs. That's just not feasible for me. I remember as a child, I sometimes even bothered my mom too much when she was coming back from work, single mom, tired, and I would just want to snuggle with her and squeeze her and so on. So she loved it most of the time, but sometimes I think I was too overbearing, but I can't survive without it. And I think that when we come from that place of love and kindness, life gets easier, it's more fun, and then we feel better, right? We feel more compassionate, and we just have a better life, a better experience on this earth. So there you go. Okay. And last belief is being grateful and giving back. I don't know if it's the thing that I raised or like through my life, I came to not really expecting anything to be given to me and to be handed to me on a silver platter, and anything being easy. So when things come and they're easier, or I get help, or people mentor me or whatever, I'm super grateful for it. And I never forget, I also understand that despite humble beginnings, I also wasn't the worst off, right? When even in the communist regime, it doesn't mean that we're so poor where we couldn't have food or pay bills, right? We always have roof on our head. It was safe. We always had food, clothes, good education. There were things that were privileged, me and my sister, to have, and my parents worked hard to get it for us and to provide for us. So I feel privileged in this way. And every time I get to a certain new level, I want to give back. So I don't talk about it a lot because I guess I was raised to just do it, not to talk about it. But I do give back, and I love to give back, and in many different ways. I volunteer in organizations, whether it's sitting on the board or volunteering my experience and advice. Of course, I donate some money. I mentor people, youth and young leaders, or youth with some challenges. Yeah, I give back as much as I can. And one of my goals is to, as my business grows, to do more and more of that in many different capacities. So there we go. We went through 10 beliefs and 10 values. And now quickly, just to let you know why I do what I do or how I came to become a business coach. So just quickly, of course, my education is in business. So as I said, I had a well-rounded education in business and economics. But also, as I got out of university, I was in business from the beginning. I worked in sales, mostly in Poland. And then when I moved to Canada, I started a career in the corporate world. Very quickly, I got promoted to junior leadership positions. And through that, I grew over 15 plus years to more senior leadership positions. But within those, I did many different things in business. I touched business development, so sales. I did operations, service excellence. That's why I love service businesses, and I help mostly service businesses because I was in service industry for many years. I did business analytics, risk mitigation. I was responsible for budgets, so finance stuff. People leadership, of course, one of my favorites, helping people grow, helping people succeed, building high-performing teams, turning not so well-performing teams into high-performing teams, project management, processes, trainings, technology changes, even construction project management, you name it, I've done it. Dealing with clients and managing like contractors and so on, I've done it and I love it. I think business is fun. So when I burned out in my corporate career, I was a part of a show called Legacy Makers, where my story of the burnout and a little bit more of that is featured. So if you want to watch it, I'll put link in the show notes. But after the burnout, it got me thinking, like, do I really want to continue to have a corporate career? And at that point, my answer is no. Even though I had a really good career, I had some great mentors, I acquired a lot of skills that are now helping me to help my clients. At that point, my answer was, I was done. I wanted to do something on my own, make my own decisions, bear the consequences of these decisions and have only myself to blame, create financial freedom that only entrepreneurship can give you, have a time flexibility that I wanted as a mom in a young family. And I love my family. They're everything to me. And so I married my passion and really good, amazing skill in knowing what people need to grow and to achieve the goals that I practiced for 13 years. And I was really good at it and I loved it. And my passion for business and all that knowledge. I also did an MBA in the process. So all that knowledge and experience and put it to good use and help you, business owners. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. But if you want to hear more of that story, watch my Legacy Makers episode. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this more vulnerable episode about me. I don't think I've ever done something like that. Let me know what you thought. I would love to know. So send me an email, Maggie@stairwaytoleadership.com. See you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening today. If this podcast resonated with you, please come back. Also, you can leave a review on whatever platform you're listening. And if you have a suggestion, question, or a topic you would like me to talk about, let's get in touch via email. Email me at Maggie@stairwaytoleadership.com. See you in the next episode.